Congratulations, you've been with the organization for 12 years. You started as a halcon in Guadalajara, watching street corners for 2,000 pesos a week. Now you're El Mencho's personal driver and bodyguard. You have 30 men under your command. You make 150,000 pesos a month. You drive a convoy of 3 armored Suburbans. You're the sicario who makes people disappear without videos, without witnesses, without bodies. You've eliminated 31 people in your career: rivals, traitors, DEA informants, a politician who got greedy. No investigations, no loose ends. You're professional. That's why they're here. The meeting is at a safe house in Zapopan, 45 minutes from the city. They pick you up in a car with blacked out windows. Standard protocol. When you enter the room, 4 men are waiting. You recognize two: El Abogado, the cartel's legal coordinator, and L85, a founding member who supposedly died in 2015. The other two are new, ghosts, men whose names don't exist in any database. The one speaking is El Abogado. "We have a problem," he says. At first, you don't understand. The organization is stronger than ever. El Mencho has the DEA offering $10 million for him, yet he moves freely. He has politicians, police chiefs, even military officers on payroll. He's untouchable. El Abogado reads your confusion. "The boss is becoming unpredictable," he continues. "El Mencho is 58 years old, 3 decades in the business. His empire moves 5 tons of cocaine monthly, worth billions. But the chemicals have rotted his judgment. He orders wars against allies. He burns bridges with suppliers. He attracts attention that money can't buy away. We need this to look like the government finally got him," El Abogado says, "or a rival cartel, something that doesn't point inward. You have complete access. You drive him. You sleep in the same house. You're the only one who can get close without suspicion. They offer you $8 million in cash, a new identity in Europe, or if you prefer, you stay and become the new security chief for the entire organization. When this is over, you'll answer only to the council, not to one man's madness. You have 72 hours to decide." You leave that meeting with a hollow chest. You drive through Guadalajara streets on autopilot, barely seeing the traffic. You spend 3 days without sleeping. You analyze every angle. If you refuse, you're a liability. El Abogado didn't ask you, he tested you. Saying no means you're loyal to the boss over the organization. In this business, that diagnosis is fatal. You have no choice. You never did. You accept on a Friday evening. You send the coded text they gave you. The package is ready for delivery. "Good," El Abogado responds. "You have 10 days. After that, if he's still breathing, you won't be." You begin to plan. Every Sunday, he visits his daughter's grave in a private cemetery outside Tlajomulco. The other guards wait at the entrance. He spends an hour talking to a marble stone, sometimes crying, sometimes angry. It's the only time you see him vulnerable. You spend days designing the scenario. You decide to use the most convenient enemy, the Mexican government. They're already hunting him. The DEA has drones, satellites, informants. It will be believable that they finally located him. You prepare without helpers. No one can know. You tell a halcon that military vehicles have been seen near the cemetery. Vague information, just enough to create worry. Within a day, the rumor spreads through the organization. The army is planning something. Everyone is on edge. Sunday arrives. That morning, you have breakfast with the boss. He's agitated. He didn't sleep. He talks about his daughter, about seeing her in dreams. You leave at 10 a.m. You drive the lead Suburban. El Mencho sits in the back, staring out the window. He hums a narco corrido, one about himself, about his legend. You arrive at the cemetery at 11:30. He goes in alone, as always. You wait at the entrance, smoking. At 12:15, you send a text to the other guards. "Going for water. Back soon." They nod. They trust you. You're the boss's shadow. You drive around the block. You're not getting water. You're getting the weapons. You park 3 streets away. You walk through alleys carrying a gym bag. Inside are the military rifles, a cap with army insignia, gloves. You change in an abandoned building. You approach the cemetery from the rear. You know the property. You've driven past it 50 times in the last week. There's a service entrance for maintenance workers. The lock is simple. You enter. Up ahead you see him. He's kneeling at the grave, head bowed. You position yourself behind a mausoleum. You raise the rifle. The scope shows him clearly. He's crying now, talking to the stone. "Mija," you hear him say. "I'm coming soon. Wait for me." You squeeze the trigger. 3 shots, 2 to the chest, 1 to the head. The suppressor muffles the sound to heavy thuds. Birds scatter. He falls forward, onto his daughter's grave. Blood pools on white marble. You work fast. You plant evidence. shell casings from the military rifles, a radio with federal frequencies, a notebook with fake coordinates, as if they were tracking him. The narrative is simple. Army Special Forces located him. Confrontation. He resisted. He died. You leave through the service entrance, you change clothes, everything goes in a bag you'll burn. You walk back to the Suburban like nothing happened. You return with water bottles, 20 minutes have passed. The other guards are still there, sweating, bored. Where's the boss? One asks. Still inside, you say, praying. You wait 10 minutes. You enter the cemetery. You run toward the grave. You shout his name. Patron! Patron! You find him. You fall to your knees. You scream. You draw your weapon, scan the area as if searching for attackers. The guards hear the commotion. They run in, they see the scene, they turn pale, one vomits. Call El Abogado, you order, your voice breaking. Now. The cemetery fills with vehicles within the hour. El Abogado arrives. He acts devastated. He falls to his knees, pounds the ground. He's a good actor. They examine the scene. They find the planted evidence. It was the military, says the cartel's forensic expert. I should have been with him. You say, your voice hollow. I should have protected him better. The following weeks are chaos, total war against suspected military informants, against rival cartels who might have helped. The violence explodes. 60 dead in 10 days, most innocent, mechanics, taxi drivers, people in wrong places at wrong times. El Abogado keeps his promise. They name you security chief for the entire organization. You decide to investigate. If El Abogado recruited you, who else did he recruit? You search discreetly. You discover 4 others new. The chief accountant, the plaza boss of Michoacan, the logistics coordinator, the communications expert. One by one, they start disappearing. Each death gives you temporary peace, but also confirms the truth. You're next. You're the last loose end, the only one who actually pulled the trigger. El Abogado calls you to a meeting. Same safe house in Zapopan. You go blindfolded again. When they remove it, you're alone with him. No guards, no witnesses. He offers you tequila. You accept. It tastes wrong, metallic. He doesn't drink, he just watches. The room spins. The tequila, it was drugged. Nothing personal, he says, standing. You try to stand. Your legs fail. Your vision tunnels. How long, you manage to ask. Your last sight is El Abogado on the phone. It's done, he says. Prepare the transition. There's always a next phase. You wake up 4 days later in a clinic in Culiacan. You're handcuffed to the bed. El Abogado sits nearby reading a newspaper. Surprise, he says. It wasn't poison, just a strong sedative. I needed to see your reaction. They release you. You return to your position. But something died in that room, the last part of you that believed you had agency. 2 years pass. El Abogado becomes the true power, invisible, untouchable. You're still security chief, still valuable, still watched. You have infiltrators in your own team, men who report your words, your moods, your doubts. You're a prisoner with the title of boss. You try to escape once. You make it to Colombia before they find you. El Abogado doesn't punish you. He simply shows you photos. Your mother in her garden, your niece at school, your brother at his new job, all made possible by the organization, all vulnerable to its reach. You can't leave, he says gently. Not because we need you, because you chose this. Every choice has a price. Yours is permanence. Years later, you're at another safe house, another meeting, blindfold again. When they remove it, there's a young man, mid-20s. Hungry eyes. Ambitious. He reminds you of yourself 15 years ago. El Abogado is there. We need to discuss a problem, he says. Your stomach tightens. You know what's coming. You're becoming unpredictable, he continues. Age, alcohol, the stress. We need fresh perspective. The cycle repeats. El Abogado says, you understand? You nod. You understand perfectly. How much time? 10 days. Put your affairs in order. You spend your final days at a beach house in Oaxaca, Pacific sunsets. You drink mezcal and watch the waves. You think about your mother, who died believing you were a businessman. Day 10 arrives. You know it will be today. You wake early, make coffee, watch the sunrise. It's beautiful. You hear a vehicle. It's him, the young man. He comes alone, professional, polite. Ready, he asks. Ready, you answer. You walk to the beach. Private, no witnesses. Perfect. You pull out a cigarette. He gives you a light, polite to the end. Any message for El Abogado? Tell him he was right. Killers will always be killers. You smoke. The sun rises fully now, orange and gold over the water. Make it clean, you say. Sure, he responds. The shot sounds like a wave breaking. You fall in the sand. Your blood mixes with the tide. The young man looks at your body for a moment. He sees in your dead eyes the future that waits for him. And as your consciousness fades, your last thought isn't regret, it's relief. Finally, it's over. Finally, you can rest.